As you can see from the sign behind us, we're at Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia. And we have with us today a special guest.
Doesn't even look asleep.
Ah, yes. Hello.
It's our son, Brennan from Michigan. He drove to be with us.
So he drove all the way from central Michigan. Took him 2 days to get here just to be with us this weekend. It's been a while since we've seen him. It's been, 6 or 7 months, I think, since we've been all together. And it's kind of fun. And what a more fitting place to be for Unity than here at a Star Trek recreation studio.
America, the finest frontier. These are the voyages of the Airstream Gemini. Its continuing mission, to explore old and new parks, to seek out new life and fun destinations, to slowly go where we haven't gone before.
So we're here at Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia, and I'm talking with
William Bailey, known as Bill.
All right, Bill Bailey. That's just like the song.
It's just like the song. Ella Fitzgerald made it famous. Unfortunately, I don't get a royalty off that one.
Oh, that's a shame. That's an absolute shame. So you were talking about some of your volunteer time and some of the stuff you've done here at Neutral Zone Studios.
Well, exactly. You know, we come down here. We donate our time to help the studio, with their operations during these fan walkthrough weekends to basically, give back to the people and give them an opportunity to see exactly what happens here. This is actually a real film studio, but it's ran strictly by donations. And we just give of our time to pay it forward, basically, to let Star Trek continue to continue.
That sounds great. And Denise is here at Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia. And you were starting to talk about some of the fan productions you've been in.
Yes. So the very first one is The Lost Starship. You guys seen it yet?
I have seen that.
I'm in one scene on the bridge, and if you blink, you'll miss me.
Our captain has been compromised by the Romulans.
And this place, if you love the original series, when those doors open and you look down that corridor and you see the ship, it's just like you're a kid again.
Yeah?
I still get goosebumps every single time.
Hi there. Hi. You guys here for the walkthrough? For noon. Okay.
Now we're waiting till noon because that's when our walkthrough is scheduled to go through the sets, and we're going to bring you with us. Come on. And behind me here is Nomad, and Nomad's going to be in an upcoming video on this channel.
Welcome, everybody. I thank you all for being here, all of you. Thank you. I am Ray Tessie. I am the owner of Neutral Zone Studios.
So we're at Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia with Ray Tessie, who's the owner of the Neutral Zone Studios. And can you tell us a little bit about the idea behind these authentic sets of Star Trek that you have here?
Sure, and thanks, Jim, for being here and including me in your interview. Very brief history of the set is that it started in 2010. Started in a much smaller location than we're in now. It was started by a group called Starship Farragut. Farragut merged with Vic Mignogna, and eventually that became Star Trek Continues. If you're familiar with Star Trek Continues, they filmed 11 episodes here. But the goal was to try to recreate as many of the sets as possible. So it's based on the original blueprints from Desilu in the 1960s and Paramount. It is full scale, and we have the bridge, which I'm sitting in right now. We have engineering, we have sick bay, we have the transporter room, captain's quarters, Jeffrey's tube. And with fan films, they're all on YouTube, cost you nothing, and you can't beat that deal. And one other little bit of trivia, in the late 60s at Paramount was visited by Otis Elevator. Otis Elevator came to find out the technology behind the sliding doors, and they saw a guy pulling ropes. Who here has either traveled the furthest or is our big Star Trek fan Got a nice crowd today.
He's here from Illinois.
Illinois, come on down, Illinois.
Oh, we're getting beat on the door.
He's here. He's here from Michigan.
Michigan.
I guess so.
You guys.
Yes.
Your son.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Michigan, come on, Michigan.
All right.
So, some poor guy is waiting here for a cue. So for this side, Brennan, you're gonna give the cue. And when we film here, it's very simple. When you want the doors open, you say doors. So Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Doors.
Everybody walk on in.
Go ahead. Wow.
What I want to hear.
That's cool. Oh my gosh.
I was ready because I knew he was going to do that.
So welcome to engineering, everyone. We're all very proud. This was all built by volunteers. Dollars were donated originally through crowdfunding. In fact, Vic held something called a Kickstarter as opposed to Kickstarter. They raised enough money to really finish all of the sets. And in their last crowdfund campaign, they had a stretch goal. And if they hit the stretch goal, they said they would build engineering. And lo and behold, they made their stretch goal. So we now have everything right through engineering. The next thing I'd ask you to look at is the ceiling. The ceiling, because of the height, Vic thought it would be great to have. And you don't see it very often. One of the films we just shot this weekend was based on the Ultimate Computer. And instead of M5, we built ourselves an M6.
We're all volunteers. We've all helped at some point or other financially. We've all bought food for the place. We've all bought the wood, the paint that goes in here. We've paid the rent. We bought the carpet. It's all a labor of love because it's a nonprofit. Basically, we do this for the love of filmmaking. We've learned some amazing things over the years from some professionals, and that includes Star Trek Continues, working with John Delancey, Q, working with Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk. You name it, I had the pleasure of working with them. You've never lived until you've held a boom mic on John Delancey and had Q's voice in your headphones.
This abstract idea is more important than a planet full of living, breathing people. And you stand here before me lecturing me about compassion, about balance. You condemn the many for the crimes of none.
When those doors open, for some of you, for a split second, you might find yourself the age you were when you fell in love with Star Trek. Mark, are you ready?
Yes. Doors.
Walk on up to the red line, guys. Take everybody to the red line. All right, everybody, welcome to the corridor of the Enterprise. So this is what you would have seen if you were an actor at Paramount. A couple of notes about the corridor. You'll notice that it's round. A lot of people would understand that top of the Enterprise is round, and they had to make it look like you were walking around the ship. But for filming, you can't see the end. So I could have a huge corridor. In reality, it's 90 feet. I could film it in multiple locations of the corridor and make it look like I have a giant ship on my hands. If you guys follow me, we'll walk in, we'll make a left, and you'll find yourself in sickbay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So a few things about sickbay. Remember I said when we were in engineering that if you're trying to recreate something that's 55 or 60 years old, it's great if you can find materials that are still manufactured. This pattern, this material, has been out of manufacturing for decades. Just doesn't exist anymore. Originally, when Vic did his first episode, and he didn't know he was going to do 11, but he thought he wanted to do 1, maybe 2. And he was looking for this material and eventually gave up because he had a film. And what he used, if you look at our bio bed here, our cryo tube, this is the material he originally ended up using in the first 2 episodes. And you can see it's similar. It's kind of dull, it's close, but it's not this. So what did he do? And you guys are free to, rub your hands on it and feel it. So what did he do? He used some screen caps as swatches, and he hired a textile manufacturer. And he worked with the manufacturer until he came up with this pattern, which is darn near close, if not exact, to the original series. And why was this so important in the original series? Does somebody have a flashlight phone that they can turn their flashlight on just for a second? Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. When you're filming in the proper light, here's what it looks like. And you can see that shine and that shimmer. Yeah. Well, they thought that was very important, making, creating what they thought would look like the future.
And you said you were also in a couple of the fan productions?
I did a short that a friend of mine, me and a friend did, and it's called Star Trek Adventure Skits, which you can look it up on YouTube.
Lieutenant, take these over to Lab 2 and have them analyzed for me, please. All we've gone through? Quite an adventure. You gotta wonder what's next.
The mission will end and all go our separate ways. But the experiences we've shared will always bind us.
We like to use cheesy humor as much as we could in what we did, just for fun, and had an opportunity to come down here and be involved with the studio, and that's just kind of what opened the doors to just what an awesome place this is and what an awesome opportunity it is that they give to the people.
How was the transporter born? How was it born? Well,
oh, I was just gonna guess. They didn't have the budget for like a small ship to go to and from.
imagine trying to land the ship on a planet every week. And okay, what did that planet look like? And what does the ground look like? And what do the people look like? And what are the people wearing? And what ships do they fly? And what weapons do they fire? And the budget is just doing that. So somebody said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could just get our actors from one set to another in about 5 seconds and just keep filming and save money? And the transporter was born. And there's probably no place you can go in the world today where somebody couldn't tell you what beam me up is. But how did the transporter effect work? I'm going to use you as my new guinea pig. Come on right up here, okay? So we've got our actor walking up on set, standing on platform, holding still.
Energize!
I was 12, and I was a big science fiction fan. And then it was all shoot 'em up, Buck Rogers and a couple of decent movies, and Star Trek came along. And I was hooked. I never saw anything like it, and it had a real positive message and a positive impact on me. I got invited after Star Trek Continues was finished, and I wrote Vic a message, and I said, hey, Vic, now that you're done with Star Trek Continues, what are you going to do with the sets? Vic wrote me back, which I was rather surprised at. And all Vic's response was, what'd you have in mind? So I went back with 4 suggestions, of which the 4th one was, let's leave it where it is, let's rebrand it, and let's open it to the public because it had been closed to the public for many years. It was a closed set. And that seemed to resonate with Vic, and he called me and we talked Star Trek for 45 minutes. Not Star Trek Continues, not sets. We talked Star Trek and conventions and places we probably just crossed over. He invited me to come see the sets. And I came out here and I just couldn't believe it. And so I entered an agreement and I purchased the sets from Vic. Movie magic. What does that sign say this room is?
Briefing room 2.
Briefing room 2. What does that make you think? Must be more than one. Exactly. In reality, there was only one. I could have said briefing room 23. and it looks like I have a giant ship. But let's come on into the briefing room. And your best view is from the opposite side of the table. Rocker switches. These are rocker switches, okay? Rocker switches is very old technology. They go back to, believe it or not, the Edsel and the Cessna airplane. But they're very expensive. Go ahead, push it. Nothing happens. Here's why nothing happens. They're very expensive, not because they're old technology. It's because the people who sell them, if you're buying it, they know what you want to do. You want to play Star Trek. Okay, so they can charge anything they want for it. So what do? You can't buy hundreds and hundreds of rocker switch sets. So just like the transporter platform, you get a good one and make molds. And then you could have some fun. Here, go ahead, turn them on and off.
Okay.
Turn them on and off, okay? While you're standing there. Same thing with, remember, they had the tape cartridges, right? The data tape cartridges. And think about this for a second. Even though they were thicker, they were probably the shape of a floppy disk. So even that, whether or not it inspired, Bill Gates and those guys, but it became the size of a floppy. But they would insert those into slots, right, to read the tape. Put your finger in the tape slot. It's a piece of masking tape. Why is it a piece of masking tape? Why put holes in a table if you're not going to use it? So it just looks like it. And when you go to put in the tape, you just go off camera. And they make now tape cartridges that are like a 1/4 inch high, or not a 1/4 inch, but a 1/4 of the size. So you put it on there and it looks like it's sitting inside the hole. Have you ever wondered why the shape of this table is so funky? If you know the answer, raise your hand. Don't give the answer.
I'm up there.
Now, this is not a standard table. You got Spock over here, you got Kirk over there, you got a couple of crewmen, more crewmen. They even created this tri-viewer so that people could see it from wherever they were sitting. Well, what the heck? Why is it so funky? Well, Gene Roddenberry said that Starfleet was based on the Navy. And starships are based on naval vessels. The Enterprise, the Yorktown, the Lexington, real naval vessels. Think about the fact that in the mid-60s, when Star Trek was being created, they were only 20 years removed from World War II. Now look at the table. It's the top of an aircraft carrier. So there's something that very few people know, just people who pass through here know about that.
We're all volunteers. We've all helped at some point or other financially. We've all bought food for the place. We've all bought the wood, the paint that goes in here. We've paid the rent. We bought the carpet. It's all a labor of love because it's a non-profit. Basically, we do this for the love of filmmaking. We've learned some amazing things over the years from some professionals. And we've also had some amazing amateurs in here. Just last week we had a 19-year-old film student who knew everything. She knew the mark, she had her lines down, she emoted beautifully. It's amazing. Now attention to detail, Michael Bednar, Vic Mignogna, Bednar from Starship Farragut, obviously Vic Mignogna from Star Trek Continues. We got our hands on the original blueprints for all of this, and the attention to detail. If you didn't build it right, you'd have to take it apart and rebuild it again. So the paint color is what you'd see on TV. The orange, the gray, the black, every color is as if this was a color TV in 1966 and you wanted to sell an RCA Victor or Zenith to somebody because this was the reason to have a color TV.
So here we are, we're at the end. This is the big thing you're waiting for. Jim, you come on up here.
Wow.
Thank you. You can walk right inside there.
think?
So a couple things. First off, you're welcome to sit in the captain's chair, take pictures at Sulu or Chekhov Station. You're free to do all that up here. Just please be respectful. But what has struck me are the reactions of people. People who come in, they laugh, they cry, they want to hug you, they want to thank you, and it's a very humbling experience to have that happen because, you know, I didn't expect that, but I found that many people just never expected that they would see something like this in person in their lifetime, and we're very proud of it.
So we had Anita Scheinblum and
Mark.
What did you think about your tour here at Nutrizone?
I'm big fans of the productions that they've done here, and just seeing the sets in person was really just kind of amazing, and more so than I ever thought it would be. Yeah, the bridge is just amazing. It's an amazing place to be.
So iconic. Well,
I saw some of the original props and sets in an exhibit in Washington. This is far superior. The detail is amazing compared to what the originals were. So they did an even better job.
Homage to the original sets too. I mean, they use the lucite buttons and these little ice cubes just like they did in the 60s. It's just really, really impressive.
If you love the original series, when those doors open and you look down that corridor and you see the ship, it's just like you're a kid again.
Yeah.
I still get goosebumps every single time. It's amazing. Yes, we love it.
Bottom line, we're volunteer run, we're volunteer driven. Everything that we do here comes from our hearts, comes from the pocketbooks and wallets of not only us, those who help do this, but you, the fans out there. We couldn't do this without the people who contribute when they come visit, the people who contribute so they can get themselves on Patreon. You can get a perk and you can show up. We had 2 or 3 actors last weekend who were wonderful, but they donated so that they could go hang out and play a character. It's wonderful. Our attention to detail is second to none. We're the only set of our kind in the country that does this, and we're open to anybody with a good script, a good idea, and what I love the most is we're PG rated. Our 7-year-old grandson can sit at home and watch all these episodes from Starship Farragut through Exeter, through everything that we've done here, to Dreadnought Dominion, to Star Trek Continues, and it's all PG rated. There's nothing bloody, there's nothing nasty, and they're all darn good scripts. I love them. Star Trek is probably the only outlet where you can tell your story and hide it in science fiction. I don't know how else to express that. You could take whatever is going on in your life and you can disguise it, but you can tell your story and people will watch it and it will resonate.